You know, when you get your blood test results back, and you immediately look for that normal range,
Hmm.
and if your number's inside, you think, okay, phew, I'm fine.
Right. That's the standard reaction.
But what if normal isn't actually, fine? What if it's misleading?
That's exactly what we need to talk about.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into those standard lab ranges, how they're made, why they can fall short, and what better ranges might look like.
It really requires a shift in how you think about normal for your own health. This is going to reveal some pretty important insights, I think.
Okay, so let's unpack this. These normal ranges.
hmm
How do labs actually decide what's normal? It's kind of surprising, isn't it?
It really is. Most labs, they set these ranges by looking at the results from a whole bunch of people they test, and then they basically take the middle 95%.
The middle 95%. But wait, who is in that group?
Ah, that's the key part. It's pretty much everyone. Healthy people, sure, but also people who are already sick, older people, younger people, the whole mix.
So being normal just means you're not in the bottom 2.5% or the top 2.5%.
Exactly. You're just falling somewhere in that big middle chunk of the population they tested. It's not necessarily about being optimally healthy.
Wow. Okay. So what are the implications of doing it that way?
Well, what's fascinating and maybe a bit concerning is what happens if the average person isn't actually that healthy on a certain marker.
Like, give me an example.
Okay, take vitamin D. We know lots of people have levels that are, let's say, less than ideal.
Yeah.
If a lab tests a population where lowish vitamin D is common,
Then that lowish level ends up smack in the middle of their normal range.
precisely, poor vitamin D levels can end up being labeled normal just because they're average in that specific tested group. It's a statistical average, not really a benchmark for good health.
Okay, that really brings up the big problem then. Just because you're in the range doesn't mean you're actually healthy.
Not at all.
Because normal might just mean average.
Yeah,
And the average population might have, collective health issues brewing.
that's the critical point. And get this. Early signs of disease often start inside that normal range,
Right. Like you mentioned blood sugar before we started, your result might be, say, 5.6 millimole.
which many labs would flag as perfectly normal.
But research shows that heart disease risk starts to climb when your blood sugar gets above 5.2 millimole.
Exactly. So you could be normal, according to the lab, but already on a path towards increased risk without even realizing it.
It's like saying the average person who barely exercises is normal physically. True, maybe, but not exactly healthy.
That's a great analogy. It's average, not optimal.
So this is where the idea of optimal ranges comes in.
Yes, precisely. Functional and preventative health experts, they focus much more on these optimal ranges.
And how are those different? Are they just slightly tighter numbers?
They are often narrower, yes, but the key thing is they're based on evidence linking specific levels to the lowest risk of disease and, importantly, to better overall function and longevity.
So it's not just about avoiding the extremes, it's about aiming for the sweet spot.
Exactly. It's proactive. It's about catching potential issues way earlier, often before they'd even show up as abnormal on a standard test. Let's go back to vitamin D.
Oh,
A lab might say, 30 to 100 ng/ml is normal, but an optimal range based on research for things like bone health, immune function, that's often cited as being tighter, maybe 50 to 80 ng/ml.
huh. That's a big difference in perspective, makes you look at your past results differently.
It really does.
So for someone listening, thinking about their own health, what's the practical advice here?
Well, the main thing is probably not to rely only on those standard lab ranges printed on the report. Don't just see normal and switch off.
Right. So what should you do instead?
Be proactive, track your own numbers over time, see how they change, and take the initiative to learn about the optimal values for the markers that matter most to you or that your doctor highlights.
So become more of an active participant in understanding your results.
Absolutely. And encourage that critical thinking. There are tools now that can really help with this.
Like what?
Well, platforms like BLDscan, for instance, they can help you see your trends visually and, importantly, let you compare your numbers against both the standard lab range and these evidence-based optimal ranges.
Ah, okay. So you get more context.
Exactly. It gives you a much clearer, more nuanced picture of what your results actually mean for your health. Moving beyond just, are you average?
That's really powerful. So the big takeaway is your blood test ranges aren't set in stone as the definition of healthy.
Definitely not.
Understanding what's genuinely healthy for you means looking beyond just being a statistical average in a potentially not so healthy population.
It really does. And, this brings up a really interesting question for everyone listening.
Yeah.
What would your health journey actually look like if you shifted your focus? If instead of just aiming to stay normal, you aim to optimize your levels toward those healthier evidence-backed ranges?
That's a great final thought, something to really consider. We definitely encourage you to maybe look at your own trends, do a little research on optimal values, and explore that question for yourself.